Well, hi there, America. Welcome to the Jim Brown Common Sense Show. Glad you're joining us today. When we, excuse my voice, I've been out in the rain and cheering too much for my football teams without much success. But glad you're with us here today on the Common Sense Show. Broadcasting this week from my home station, 1150 AM WJBO in Baton Rouge, Clear Channel Station in Baton Rouge. We travel around the country a good bit, but we're here this week and sure glad to have you with us. We're winding down football season. You see, I got my LSU cap on right now. Not much there. They suffered a terrible defeat with Clemson here last week. The play calling was just pathetic on the part of the coaches. So I don't know why I'm wearing this cap. Basketball season's coming. LSU doesn't have much of a basketball team. We'll cut that off. I went to the University of North Carolina. I'm a big Tar Heel. A lot of you know that I got a scholarship, ran track at North Carolina. So I'm pulling for the Tar Heels. Their football team was not good this year. Major scandal there to where they got a lot of scholarships taken away. The basketball team. North Carolina is synonymous with basketball. They don't even crack the top 25 this year. So this hat's not doing me much good. I'll throw them both away, put them both aside. I'm not a fair weather fan. I'm a diehard LSU fan. I'm a diehard North Carolina fan. But this particular season, there's not very much to get excited about. Hey, we've got a full show today. Let me tell you what we're going to talk about. First of all, throw away that diet. That diet's not going to do you much good. We're going to be talking with Robert Lustig. He's a prominent dietitian or dietary doctor out of the University of California. He says sugar is the single most toxic thing you can put in your body. Don't worry about these diets. Diets don't work. If you want to get healthy, deal with sugar. He says that sugar is every bit as bad as tobacco and alcohol, and that he gives some interesting history if you listen to Dr. Lustig. He says that for thousands of years we didn't have a sugar problem and we were much, much healthier. Then the federal government forces this sugar on us through massive subsidies. They made sugar so cheap that so many companies put this sugar in all their products, and you and I paid for it. We subsidized through federal tax dollars billions of dollars into the sugar industry, and that's caused a lot of the problems we face today. So sugar, a chronic disease, causing so many chronic diseases. Stay away from sugar. We'll have Dr. Lustig on the show to talk about it. And I've got to tell you right now, I agree with exactly what he's saying about the sugar problem. I also want to talk about this fiscal cliff. This settlement in Congress is just unbelievable. Republicans galore voted to raise your taxes. Now, what your Congress is going to say, oh, no, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. What I did was only raise taxes on the top $400,000 makers. If you make $400,000 a year, you get raised. Well, that's not true. You see, you had a credit or you had a break on 2% of the payroll tax. That's now been taken away by this legislation. So as a consequence, every American who's making anything payroll-wise is going to pay more taxes. So if you're making $50,000 a year, you're going to be paying about $900 more in taxes. So major tax increases across the board in this legislation. How about cuts? No cuts of all. $4 trillion in new spending. And you're going to be amazed. I mean, the NASCAR industry gets a huge subsidy. Rum dealers in Puerto Rico, $222 million tax credit going to rum dealers in Puerto Rico. Tax break for $15 million for asparagus growers. Look, I love asparagus, but you don't give a tax break to asparagus growers. If you got one of these Sedgeways or three-wheel scooters, you get a $4 million tax break. I can go on and on and on. The bottom line is that whole settlement was a finger in the dike that did nothing more than raise your taxes and push the whole problem down the line. Shame on Democrats. Shame on Republicans in Congress. And all this, remember the Republican mantra, read my lips, no new taxes? That sure went out the door in no uncertain terms. Finally, we're going to talk about the Justice Department. Now, you know I'm no fan of the Justice Department. I've criticized them. I've had headbutts with the Justice Department. But I'm just amazed at the new wave of investigative reporting that is determining there is just outright abuse. Remember the great movie The Fugitive with Harrison Ford? And he's trying to get away from the FBI guy, Tommy Lee Jones. So he moves out on this cliff trying to get away, and nothing to do but jump. And Harrison Ford turns around and says, "I'm innocent." Tommy Lee Jones comes at him and says, "I don't care." That's the attitude you're finding with so many federal prosecutors. It's not like they're crooked or want to convict someone of innocence. They just don't care. They want to get a conviction. It's not about justice. It's about getting convictions. Let me give you a few examples. Here's the Houston Chronicle. Let me read you. They did a major investigation. They concluded that prosecutors have repeatedly robbed innocent men of their liberty. Now, that's not me. That's the Houston Chronicle. How about the Pittsburgh Gazette? They investigated hundreds of allegations of prosecutorial misconduct. Here's what they conclude. Hundreds of times in the past 10 years, federal prosecutors have pursued justice by breaking the law. They lied, hid evidence, distorted facts, engaged in cover-ups, paid for perjury, and set up innocent people in a relentless effort to win indictments, guilty pleas, and convictions. That's not me. That's the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Wall Street Journal editorial here recently, quote, "Something is very rotten at the U.S. Department of Justice. Americans hand prosecutors an awesome power, the power to destroy fortunes and futures. And in these cases, to allocate national power. We are seeing a pattern of abuse of this power in order to win big cases." That's the Wall Street Journal, a conservative publication that generally is pro-prosecution. New York Times. "It is the height of hypocrisy when prosecutors who call others to account for breaking the rules break rules themselves." So we'll talk more about that, about the widespread prosecutorial misjustice in this country today. Lively show today. My voice will get better. Going to drink some tea. Let me take a break. Be right back. Stay with us. A lot more to talk about on the Common Sense Show.